What will you do to unlock innovation? In today's fast-paced world, innovation might not be enough. Tomorrow's pioneers of change will need to be agile, able to adapt, and committed like never before. Your host, Sana Vinding, invites you to listen in and join business leaders from around the world as they share their visions for success in our future business challenges.
Welcome to Mind Innovation. I'm your host, Sana Vinding, and I'm always excited to learn. And in today's podcast, we're going to talk about the entrepreneurial mindset. I want to welcome RJ Grimshaw. He's founded companies in a wide array of industries, including hospitality, apparel, finance, and automotive. He has an extensive experience in businesses and is the CEO for UniFi. So welcome, RJ. I'm looking forward to our chat today.
I'm looking forward to our conversation as well, and very grateful to be able to have this conversation with you. So thank you.
Where does your passion come from with the entrepreneurial mindset? Where did it start for you?
I would say my passion comes from, and it's more about business. And I'll get a little bit of the history or backdrop on how I arrived at just having a passion for intrapreneurship. But I actually started as an entrepreneur, just like many of your listeners, and I just fell into intrapreneurship by accident, like so many things in life, right? Coincidence, things happen. Yeah. But my true business passion comes from watching my mom and dad own their own business. They own several businesses. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My grandfather owned a soda distributorship back in the 30s and 40s. My uncle was the CEO of Black & Decker in Canada. So I saw the corporate side of it as well. And then I had an uncle that owned several optician stores throughout New Hampshire, which is before chains, before Pearl Vision and the chains you see now, as well as my grandmother on my father's side owned a florist. So it was just natural for me to see the hard work and discipline that it takes to be a business owner, and then reaping the long-term rewards of owning that business. My parents owned, like I said, several businesses, and then my dad actually was crazy enough, looking back, to start my brother and I in our first business, and was our bank in essence, at the age of 22 and 21, which is a bar. And we took that from concept to number one in the county in upstate New York for bar and liquor sales within 12 months.
Oh, wow.
So it's just natural. I just love the game of business, the science of business, the art of business, because there's just so many different facets. And guess what? It's always changing. It's never the same 2 days in a row.
No. So what are some of the key skills? Because even though you're saying it's changing every day, what is if somebody's saying, okay, where do I start, right? What does that look like?
Yeah. So I'll speak more to from the entrepreneurship. What starts is you have to have a passion. And unfortunately, what I see taking place right now, and I had this conversation yesterday with another gentleman, is that entrepreneurship is sexy, right? It's a sexy word where you're out to cocktail hour, out to dinner. People ask, what do you do? I'm an entrepreneur. Well, what does that really mean, right? It doesn't speak to what they do. And I'm not knocking that. I've done that. Believe me, I've done that a lot. But my message to people is, unless you have a proof of concept or a true desire to, especially when you're young, to run your own business, it might be better served to become an intrapreneur. Go within an organization, develop a skill set, develop, how things work within a company. And it doesn't matter if it's large or small. You probably learn more at a small company because you're going to have to be more resourceful. However, get that experience and do the side gig. If that's what your passion is, on your own hours. And when you're young, you can work 14-hour days. You can work 12-hour days. There's no reason not to be able to do both in the world we live in today. And I highly recommend that, because you might start a business and come to find out it's not what you expected, or the passion isn't there, or the market isn't there. You might be too early bringing your product to market. And like I said, I fell into intrapreneurship just by accident, due to the fact that I was an entrepreneur, but I fell into corporate America. And I learned actually of this topic and word by a gentleman by the name of Tom Peters, who wrote the book Reimagine, and he's a business consultant. And I just gravitated towards it, towards that word. And I said, that sounds like what I am. because I have the entrepreneur background. And the definition of an intrapreneur is a person that thinks like an entrepreneur. however, within the confines of a business.
Yeah.
So I didn't leave my entrepreneur spirit when I transitioned to an intrapreneur.
Yeah.
All I did was take that without the risk, put myself within the four walls of a company. But I look at everything like I own the business.
Yeah.
And I own my success and I own what's taking place. And I started out, when I started in corporate America, I was an individual contributor. For salespeople that are listening to this, carrying a bag, knocking on doors, running a territory. And then I worked my way up the corporate ladder to where I sit here today. Now, however, I will say a lot of luck, being at the right place a lot of time, being surrounded by a lot of incredible people. And the biggest thing too is having an abundant mindset for scarcity, in looking at it like that. But and what I'm passionate about, and this is what I love coaching and speaking about, because so many business owners, and I don't care if we define what a small business is versus a large business. I'm talking about, that business owner that has anywhere between 5 and 15 employees, right? 5 to 15 families he has to or she has to worry about on a daily basis.
Yeah.
If you indulge yourself and put this culture, the Intrapreneurship culture within your company, you will see incredible dividends pay out. And there's stats that back this up. Gallup did a recent survey. And they said that, I want to make sure I quote this right. When it comes to stats, especially last night watching the President Biden's, everything's fact checked nowadays, right? 3 out of 4 members within your company, 3 out of 4 team members within a company today have ideas that will improve your company. So it's up to the business owner or the manager to enable a fostering environment. And that's what we come in and teach and coach, how you do that. And it's not hard, but it starts at the top.
Yeah. So any example that you can share, what that looks like?
Sure. So again, but it starts at the top. If it doesn't start at the top of the house, it's never going to work. Like anything, it doesn't matter what initiative, what culture, what you're trying to do. But it's as easy as the business owner. The business owner doesn't have to be the entrepreneur because they're the entrepreneur, right? They're the visionary. They're the founder. They're the idea person. The entrepreneur comes behind and they're the doers. They're going to do and look at things. So it really starts with the culture, buying in, and then identifying. Most entrepreneurs you want to identify in your company. And every business owner that I talk to, I ask them, if you had 5 characteristics that you're looking for, and those characteristics are a passionate team member, be passionate about life, work, everything. 2, they're tenacious. They just get after it every single day. They're extremely resourceful. So there's number 3, resourceful. Number 4 is they're a life learner. They're always learning about new things. You can go, they're not watching Netflix shows all day long. They're not on the weekends, or they're reading, they're learning, they have hobbies. They're always doing different.
They want to grow, right?
They want to grow. Exactly. And then they're going to challenge the status quo. And that's where sometimes the rub comes in. Because as you look at your company, you only want 20%, and it doesn't matter how large or how small, but 20% of your overall employees, your team members, should have these traits as an entrepreneur, because those are the folks that are going to drive your company to the next level. And it's just not around innovation. A lot of times people say entrepreneurship's innovation. It's not strictly innovation. I don't look at it from an innovation perspective. You can. That's not my teaching. My teaching is around tapping these folks and allowing them to improve your business, because they're vital. We tag those people, they're vital employees, 20%. And then you have your functional, which are 80% of your company.
So how do you find them? Because if you also have to hire, right? If you're looking at your business and you're like this 5 to 30 people, which is there certain areas that you will say, hey, this is where it's needed? Or is it more to find the right person where you're saying these are actually the skills, because that will drive it and be that champion in the company?
Right. We always coach and teach the business owner to start internally looking. However, if they look and say, boy, we really don't have that. We have a bunch of functional employees, which is great. But now when we do this at UniFi, and we've done this. We tested the A/B testing, right? Same job description. One we posted part of the job description as an entrepreneur mindset. And we saw the caliber of the candidates improve tremendously on the B, which had that, versus the A. Just try that, because it attracts people. Even if they don't know what the definition is, they'll Google it, learn about it, and they'll self-identify that I am an intrapreneur. That's who I am. And I like that tag. That's a sexy tag, because guess what? You're not taking any risk.
No.
You're not, you're just taking that mindset within a company. And again, the success that you're going to benefit from that, because again, remember, they're a life learner, right? They love learning. It doesn't matter. They want to learn. It's not about in the job description, not out of the job description. They just want to learn to make the company better. Now, what's really, really, really important for the intrapreneur as well as the business owner, they have to be aligned. The vision of the company and the intrapreneur have to be aligned, because can you imagine if an intrapreneur goes into a company but they don't believe in the mission of the company or the direction of the company? It doesn't work.
The direction, right?
It does not work. So there has to be alignment there with that.
So it's fun, because now that you put these words on it, so when I've been hiring into my team, a lot of questions, but some of it that I ask is saying, what's the latest skill you've learned? Because then you can hear and saying, oh, this has been my latest and greatest. And then my next question is, what's the next skill? So instead of asking, what's your bad side? What are you not good at? That doesn't help you. You want to see, right, if you have a passion of being a lifetime learner.
I love that. I'm actually going to start using that. I love that question. We all have, right? We all have our one, and that is our, we feel it's our secret question we're going to ask them. And I'll share you mine, which is, had amazing, it's always interesting to hear someone's response. And it's always my last question typically. Is I'll ask the question, if money was not an issue, what would your dream job be? And I always say, I'll go first. I'll tell you just to break the ice. And I said, don't say to me, oh, working at UniFi, because I know that that's a farce, because no one's going to ever say that, even including myself. My response is always, I would be an athletic coach somewhere. It doesn't matter. It could be at Michigan football, Syracuse basketball, somewhere, just coaching. That's my passion, is coaching. And it's parallel to business, right? The parallels between sports, athletics, and business, it's the same. So I've had people start crying on me when I've asked that question, because it's touched the nerve that they wanted to start a foundation and raise money. Maybe they lost a sibling or a parent to a disease. Had one particular gentleman, through the whole interview, I thought it's not a fit. With that answer, we hired him. And the answer was, and I won't get into all the details. No. But it was an analytical position within our organization. So a credit underwriter, where they're analyzing data all day long. They're looking at monitors all day long. And the whole time during the interview process, I just didn't sense that from him. His answer to the question was when he said, I would love to trade foreign currency every day, all day. And as soon as he said that, I said, that's great.
How many monitors do you need?
Exactly. Because that's exactly what a credit analyst does for us. They analyze data, and they have to make quick decisions. And if he was going to be a foreign trader, of currency, that's how he has to act. So you never know what questions, but I don't believe in we always joke that, and you would probably agree with me, hiring is the most difficult thing to do in any business. And anyone that says it's not, or they're good at it, I call BS. It's hard.
It is tough. But you want to get under that surface, right? And with the questions you have and the one I have, that's how you can get a little bit under it and find out what is behind and the passion for this person.
Exactly. And especially right now in the world we live in, right? With, knock on wood, UniFi, we didn't lose any team members during the Great Resignation. Not saying that we might. We foster, if you want to go somewhere else, let us help you get there. Let us coach you to where you want to go. If it's not a fit within here. We have candid conversations. Does it hurt as a leader? Yes. But I put my ego to the side and say, it's not about RJ. It's about this person, where they want to go, where they feel they're going to be in a better situation. How do you, so it's great when you have all these great champions that comes in and that they are creative, they want to learn, they can see all the opportunities.
How do you foster then that environment? Because there has to be something. If it's, not having meetings all days, right? There has to be some creativity that can foster, so you can get to these incredible business improvements.
Right. And a lot of times the improvements, and we coach this all the time, because a business owner, like all type A personalities, right? They want results yesterday.
Yeah.
And we say it's sort of like when the doctor prescribes you a prescription. The first day you take it, you're not going to see results.
No.
Or a better example is if you're working out and exercising. The first day you go to the gym, you're gonna come home sore and you're not gonna feel well.
That hurt. Not doing that again.
Right, you have to keep doing that. The same thing when you're developing this. We call it more of an operating system now than we do a culture.
Mm-hmm.
When you develop this operating system, as long as the CEO or the business owner or the manager is consistent with the messaging and fostering ideas, you're going to see, again, after you've identified those entrepreneurs, they're going to raise up. And now that they know they have the ability to give feedback and look at things as the business owner and make those adjustments, they're going to naturally start doing that. But it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
It takes time. I am working on some technology right now to answer your question specifically, where we're going to be able to track it, right? It's always about ROI and the gamification piece of it. And that's what we're working on, the gamification piece, so we can start measuring the amount of improvements. Because at UniFi, I'll use an example. There's times that I'll go into a system or go into something and I'll say, oh, look at that. They've updated and changed it. And I wasn't part of any of it. And it's always an improvement.
Yeah.
But even if I don't believe it's an improvement, it's not about RJ. It's about the people who are doing it every single day. Yeah. And if they're happier with that, that's what makes me happy.
Yeah. What about these? Also, when you do something new, and even if you don't want to call it innovation, if it's just improving, there's always the iterations, right? That you test something to get there. Sometimes it doesn't work, you fail, or if you don't want to use the word fail, it's pivot. You learn what didn't work, right? And then
we pivot. We call it pivoting. We pivot. I was at a speech talk back in October, and the room got a real chuckle because I said, we don't fail at UniFi. We just pivot. We're pivoting all the time. Because failure has such a bad word to it.
Yeah.
And it's what you learn from the situation. There's no such thing as failure in my mind. It's what you learn and what you take from it and move forward.
Yeah. But how do you turn a whole organization? Because I think you need some trust as well to be able to say, hey, this didn't work, right? And stand in front, even if it's a report you have to share, or, saying this is where we are with the project. How do you support that it is acceptable and this is the journey, right? There's nothing where there's no pivot, right? I don't think I've seen any project where there's no pivot.
Well, what you just said, it's a journey. And as long as you're starting with the intent outlined, and then you're working towards what the solution is. And I can give you an example of that.
Yeah.
Here at UniFi, I had a salesperson, Intrapreneur through and through. I mean, this gentleman checked all the boxes and then some.
Yeah.
Life learner. He was an attorney by trade, CPA degree, master. I mean, he was a gym instructor. Just amazing individual with energy off the charts.
Yeah.
Someone you just love to be around.
Yeah.
He came to me, not in his job description, and said, RJ, I really believe, and this is when we were really growing the business, so a lot was going on. He said, RJ, I really believe that we need a portal for our customers to be able to make a payment online versus either calling or mailing an old-fashioned check to us.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you know where we stand. We don't, today it's not in the budget. And this is, we do our budgeting always, like most companies, October, November, before the year. And this was maybe in March. I said, it's not in the budget. If there's something you think you can make happen, I'll fully support of it.
Yeah.
And you have to remember, as a manager or business owner, you have to allow this discretionary time of your entrepreneurs to focus on things that maybe aren't on their job description.
Yeah.
And how I did that in this case was, just remember your KPIs, that's number one. And then this initiative is number two. He had to work. Now, think about this too. As an entrepreneur, you have no direct oversight on people that you're trying to buy into your initiative, right?
Oh, yeah.
So he had to work with our IT team and sell them. He had to work with an outside vendor and sell them, and then be a program manager and manage all this.
Yeah.
He was successful and he made it happen. I think maybe it took him 60 days or 45 days. I really wasn't paying attention. I said, this is his initiative. I'm supporting him. If you need me, let me know.
Yeah.
We now process close to $75,000 a month through that portal. And the dollars that it cost us was nothing, but it provided our customers a better customer journey experience for them. And that's what we focus on. You always have to have that why. What are we trying to do, and why are we doing it?
Yeah, you've removed a lot of the friction, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it didn't, and the thing, keep in mind, it didn't cost us anything. I didn't have to go out to a third party and build that. He took and ran with it. But again, life learner.
Yeah.
He wanted to learn about it.
Yeah. Have you then seen now with these, and that's a really good, success story, if you want to say that, where you can see other people or employees are getting inspired, and then they start to act and behave, if that's the word, right? The same way. Have you seen that happen?
I have. And even remember, I talked earlier about 20% vital and then 80% functional.
Yeah.
The real cherry on top of the sundae is when you see someone you've identified as a functional.
Yeah.
And you see them
turning in
up, coming up. Or the other thing is, say if they're functional and they have no desire to become vital, they show up every day. They're just as important as the vital. Okay. Just as important. But now they know they have an outlet to bring to the folks you've tagged and say, hey, this is a problem that I see that we occur on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Something that maybe we can put on the list to look at. This is what the result would be. Again, back to intent, and then we work backwards. So you see, again, back to that fostering. And another interview question, real quick. Popped in my head.
Yeah.
We ask. I don't use this all the time, but I should. I asked. It was a lady we were interviewing, and I asked her. I said, "What would you do if the person next to you?" And I don't know why I asked this question. What would you do if the person next to you wasn't carrying their weight? How would you handle that as a peer? And this particular person that we did not hire said, I just keep my head down and just keep doing my own work. That doesn't work. And my point being, the number one challenge for most business owners today is hiring.
Yeah.
You have to ask your current team members to do more with less.
Yeah.
And they're being stretched extremely thin. However, what comes with that is transparency and accountability. And I'm a firm believer, and I preach this all the time, about peer accountability. We're all peers at the end of the day. I don't care about titles. They're important, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Hold me accountable. I'll hold you accountable. And that way we all get better and we know where we stand, because your behavior and your actions within the company affect everyone else's, not that person, but their families and maybe grandparents. So think about your actions on a daily basis. And that really boils into the whole culture, operating system philosophy.
Yeah. And maybe for her, right, maybe it was a fear of, oh, if I lean in, I own it, right? And then it's even more. And you also need a culture where it's, even if you identify it and raise your flag, doesn't mean you own it. Then it gets that transparency. And now it's time to say, okay, where does it land and how do we solve it, and prioritization as well. So it's more to get it, I believe, to get it to that transparency.
I completely agree with that. And again, we're a small company here, and we've all worked for big companies. I worked for KeyBank, Key Equipment Finance. My director of credit has worked for Honeywell and HP. My director of operations has worked for Everbank. So we've all come from big corporate. And what we like about here, what we like about smaller companies, and we're $100 million in revenue. But there's nowhere to hide.
No.
Winners want to be around winners. And there's nowhere to hide. And we tell people that when they come in, there's nowhere to hide in our company. No.
What about, so even though you're saying you started out saying, this is for a certain size of company, but when you scale, what happens?
I think this philosophy should actually be taught from every venture capitalist firm and PE firm to founders. It should be part of the incubator education, because it's even more important during the journey for a founder, either in a startup pre-rev
Yeah.
or revenue or scaling. And here at UniFi, I'm the second president CEO of the company. The company was started in 1978. I joined UniFi in 2013. I walked into an organization that was running well. It was running well, but however, we wanted to grow. And the only way that we were going to give a return to our investors is by growing revenue.
Yeah.
And this was in 2013, so 98 years ago. So I was just developing this concept and this philosophy. Looking back now, I would have walked in that first day and tried to start identifying my intrapreneurs within the company.
Yeah.
So you can, if you're listening to this and you're walking into a new organization, either as a leader perspective, right? There's so many books about new leaders the first 90 days. This should be part of it. So it's scaling. It's so important. It's so important to have intrapreneurs in that growth mode to help. Again, 20% intrapreneurs, 80% functional. And those 20%, when their voice is heard, will make the difference.
Yeah.
We did our highest year ever last year in sales. And from a full-time employee perspective, we're the smallest we've ever been. Because this started 5 years ago, this mindset and philosophy.
Yeah. So you answered a little bit, because my next one here is actually, what would you tell RJ, like 20 years ago? You already said one thing, but so what will you tell yourself?
Yeah, I would say take risk earlier. And now I'm kind of being a hypocrite to going out on your own, right?
Yeah.
However, find a company that you have a desire to start a business in.
Yeah.
And get experience there. Because unfortunately, as you get older and you look back, your body of work is your whole career. And those relationships that you build and foster, your whole career you bring along with you. So my point being, if I could look back to RJ, take more risk. And that's probably more risk, calculated risk, to really do what you want. You just because I overanalyze things, and so many people do as well, right? The old bar, just take not crazy risk, but calculated risk. And I was actually featured in an article with 13 or 15 CEOs in our industry around risk taking and calculated risk and how you work through that for business. So that's the advice and that I give myself. I wish I would have took more risk. Now, if you said to me, RJ, what specifically risk would you take? I probably wouldn't have an answer for you. But I think that and seek. The other thing is seek influential people, and don't be afraid to ask for mentors. Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask for mentors. But remember, mentoring is a two-way street. It's the mentor and the mentee, and it's a two-way street, giving back and forth. I mentor lots of young professionals, and I love it because they teach me stuff that I don't, the new technology and new things. And I don't, because that's not in my domain where I'm reading that information. Yeah.
No, you get some visibility in, right, of what's going on, or transparency on what's going on.
So seek a mentor. I mentor a young business owner here in Ann Arbor. He's 24, 25 maybe. Yeah. He reminds me of me to a T. Yeah. But anything that I ask of him, or anything I say, you should read this book. Yeah. I'm getting follow-up. I read the book. This is my learnings. Yeah. That's that two-way street. Wow. Because if you're a mentee and your mentor asks you to do something and then you just don't do it, guess what? Because I just donate. I donate my time what I mean by that, because I want to give back. He has the passion to be successful. Yeah. So I'm willing to say, hey, this is what I think you should do. And he does it. So it's sort of like if your wife or husband come and ask you, your kids, how does this look? Right? I always love that. Hey, how's this look on me? You say, it looks great. And then they go change and come back. It's like, well, why did you ask me? Yeah. So it's the same thing with mentor and mentee. I would highly recommend that if you're younger, and it doesn't matter where you're in your career. I have mentors that are older than me, that are farther in my career, that I call all the time and bounce. It's good to talk. Yeah, it is. And do the reflection. That always helps. Awesome. Exactly. So if any of the listener, want to reach out to you, how can they find you or connect to you? Email is rj@rjgrimshaw.com. Website is rjgrimshaw.com. If you just Google RJ Grimshaw, you'll see podcasts and blogs and articles that I've written. I answer all my own emails, but if you have any questions around business, investing, entrepreneurship, anything related to anything, I respond. And I love when people reach out. Just give me a couple of days, but I will respond, and just keep working at it. That's all you can do. Just become a better version on a daily basis of who you were yesterday.
Yeah. And I'll make sure as well to put the links in the show notes as well. So go to mindinnovation.com and it will be right there as well. So thank you so much. This was lovely. I got my little energy here, like, oh my God, this is what I need to do. And I love the question you have. So I will add that to
Super.
hire team.
And I'm going to use yours too. So
yeah. We learn from each other.
That's right.
So, yeah. So thank you so much.
Pleasure being here. Thank you for having me.
Good. If you enjoy this podcast, maybe you'd like to hear more, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure also to check out our website, mindtheinnovation.com. And remember, stay curious and keep learning.